Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. I am Laura Lalaki, international real estate agent and your host for today. Now, today we're discussing the mystery surrounding the death of legendary actor John Amos. He's best known for his role in Good Times, but he has also been in many other things that are absolutely classic. His passing has sparked speculation about family feuds, allegations of abuse, and the looming battle over his estate. While the details around his death remain a source of speculation, it raises deeper questions about how money can tear families apart and how we can protect relationships when money and inheritance are involved. So let's make sure that we get into it. And today I'm actually joined by my beautiful co-queens, Constance Carter, wealth activist, Dr. Alicia Watkins, couples coach, social work professor, and Athena Gardner, our CPA and wealth coach. And thank you for joining us. We love to hear what you always have to say. So our viewership family, keep those comments coming because we like to hear what you got to say to us because we talk back. Now, before we get into our conversation, let's look at a video about John Amos's passing.
As many continue to heal from the unfortunate news of John Amos's passing, many close to him have come out to offer their condolences. After it was revealed, TMZ would report the cause of death, which was due to congestive heart failure. That same source also reported he was cremated on August 30th, just 9 days after he passed. The death certificate, which was obtained by TMZ, stated there were no significant medical conditions other than heart failure. The certificate also lists Amos's son, Kelly Christopher Amos, otherwise known as KC, as the informant, meaning he informed the county of his father's death. And also according to that same source, no autopsy was performed. Amos's passing was announced on October 1st. However, many were shocked the beloved actor actually passed away on August 21st, nearly a month and a half ago in Los Angeles. John's daughter, Shannon Amos, would take to Instagram and reveal she found out about her father's death through the media like the rest of the public. I am without words. Our family has received the heartbreaking news that my dad, John Allen Amos Jr., transitioned on August 21st. We are devastated and left with many questions about how this happened 45 days ago, learning about it through the media like so many of you. This should be a time of honoring and celebrating his life. Yet, we are struggling to navigate the wave of emotions and uncertainty surrounding his passing. Still, there is some semblance of peace in knowing my father is finally free. My family and I deeply appreciate the outpouring of love, calls, and texts. Please continue to hold our family in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you. This last year, Shannon Amos would publicly accuse her brother KC of elder abuse, which he denied. She would also tell the source she provided documents to law enforcement in order to investigate claims of KC's elder abuse, as well as accusing her brother of consolidating authority over their father in his affairs while isolating him from members of his inner circle.
So you see, there's a lot of family drama going on. But before we move into the drama, I want to take a second to honor him because we need to honor him before we talk about the tea. So, Queens, I'm going to ask you a question, and I want to hear from our viewership family as well. What is your favorite role that John Amos did? Constance, I'm going to start with you.
You already know. It's Good Times. James, he's not even known as John Amos. He's known as James Evans. And, you know, when we get mad, when we flare our nose, you be like, you got them that James Evans nose? Yeah, we love some James Evans up in that right there. That one right there. Damn. Right. Oh, my God. I mean, when I tell y'all, that was a staple growing up in my house. I just remember me, my brother and sister being on the floor in San Jose watching Channel 44 like this, or just watching Good Times. And I loved it. I remember my cousin saying no. She's like, I hated that show because they never got out the ghetto. But I don't know. I loved it.
And then when I found out about how they stood firm on how they really wanted to continue to keep a family unit, that gave me more respect for the actors as well.
Yeah.
But Athena, what is your favorite role of John Amos?
Well, you know, I love him as Mr. McDowell, whose daughter married the Prince of Zamunda, the King of Zamunda, honey. Coming to America is my favorite role of him.
I absolutely love that. And how about you, Dr. Alicia? What is your favorite role of John Amos?
Oh, you can leave that picture back up. It's definitely Coming to America. He represented this strong father, entrepreneur. He had his own franchise. I mean, it was coming to America, but it was still coming to a place where Black people were great and a great, prosperous family. And I just love that image of Black people on the screen. And we don't see enough of that even today. So revolutionary.
Right. And he was in both, like years and years apart. And I absolutely love that they brought him back for the second one, which I thought was absolutely fabulous. Now, I'm going to be a little controversial. I actually really loved him in Roots, because that's when I saw that, you know, it didn't have to be what the role he was playing, it was how it was played. It was very powerful to me. And I think a lot of times people don't like to refer to Roots because they feel that it's all centered around slavery. But we have to also remember our history. And I think that it was very, very powerful. And so that was my first where I saw him and fell in love with him. I knew him as James Evans, loved that, but it was something about Roots that just stirred my soul.
Yeah. You know, I've never seen Roots.
Oh, we watched it. We watched it in school as a whole school. We watched it. We would watch pieces of Roots and come to school and have a whole conversation about what happened. But you know what? He did not like his role in Good Times. He did not like JJ's role. He thought JJ was a buffoon. He did not enjoy playing Living in the Project. So as an actor, he was very happy to leave Good Times. I heard him talk about this and go to Roots and then later Coming to America.
Yeah, I mean, he has a lot of history behind him in his acting. And so I didn't want to just start us off with the drama, because you know what? It's always drama around something. So I wanted to take a second to just honor his acting and his craft. And many of our viewers are saying that they loved every last one of the ones that we all mentioned. So he was definitely a staple in our lives growing up. Now, there was a lot of controversy, and it turns out that he did die in August, but it wasn't officially announced till October 1st. So I want to ask the question about this. Athena, what was your initial reaction to hearing that he had passed? And what did you know about any kind of family drama? Did you know that there was drama surrounding him?
My initial reaction was kind of shocked, because it just feels like everybody's dying over the past 2 weeks. I was like, who else gonna fall down right now? Is this just something in the air that fall season coming, everybody's dying? So that was my initial reaction. Secondly, I was sad to hear that there was family drama surrounding it, but that's quite common. I think there's, with deaths and funerals and money and all those type of situations, rarely have I ever seen, even in my personal life, a death and funeral family situation and it just be peace. There's usually a lot of fighting between siblings. And Dr. Alicia discussed this more. Like, even if their payment arrangements and things are taken care of, I can even just think about my dad and his siblings when my grandmother passed away. It's always some fighting between the siblings, and I just don't know why.
Yeah, that's the experience that I have had, as well as in my business. A lot of times when family have to sell the house, Constance, you know, you get to see all the back drama of what goes on and the infighting. And I just wish that it wasn't that way. So I was very, very saddened to hear that he had passed, but I had a feeling that some drama was behind it. Dr. Alicia, what was your initial thoughts? And did you even know that there was drama going on behind John Amos?
Lord, I'm so busy. I didn't even know what was happening with things. I have a very busy life, but even if your life is busy, please set aside time to plan for the inevitable. And I was a medical social worker. I just ended my contract with this hospice company because they got bought out by a bigger company. And you talk about in the middle of the drama. I mean, even if family members get along well with each other, you have to make your intentions very, very clear so that everybody knows what they're doing, because you have to think about your legacy. And if you don't think about your legacy, you can have even siblings that are really close friends and close with each other in terms of their relationship. If you don't have your plans clear, all of that can fall apart because you as a parent did not make things clear and transparent to your loved ones. And that's what I encourage everybody to do. Take this lesson from the John Amos tragic way that his family is now, dealing with this loss.
I feel the same way. But you know what, Dr. Leash, I think a lot of the times people don't even want to talk about death. They get scared of death. It's like they don't even want to touch it. They don't want to think about it. When in actuality, you're actually hurting your family more than you are helping them if you don't prepare and have things in place for them to follow. Even if they do leave something to follow, there's always going to be some kind of drama. But at least you left your wishes behind. Constance, what was your initial reaction? And did you know there was drama? But I want to ask you, do you think that his son, Casey, waited? Why do you think he waited so long to announce this to his family?
Yeah, that's crazy. I'd seen some things on social media before that they were fighting because they would go live. The daughter, the son were fighting and they were claiming elder abuse. So
when she comes back, I want her to finish her conversation. What she did leave with is she knew there was accusations of elder abuse from both Casey and also the daughter, but and they fought it out. So it was always some type of drama about that. But I do want to ask you, Athena, how would you feel? Oh, she's back. Finish your thought, Constance.
StreamYard don't want me to be great today. So, or maybe it's my internet provider. I don't know. But so I had been hearing it. But what I do know, and this is what my mama used to always say, people get to acting funny when it comes to death and money. I've seen so much craziness just being in this business and dealing with real estate and all that stuff. My assistant, her father-in-law died. This man was still sitting at the table dead, and they was moving furniture out his house because he had the wife died a couple of years before, and he had a new girlfriend. So they was like, "This is my mama house. I'm about to get this furniture. It's my mama furniture." Like, this man is still at the table dead. The coroner hasn't even come yet. And then the fighting ensued. I was in other situations where you have grown ass people old enough to be my mama and daddy fighting over what mama wanted. And I remember just listening. I was getting my hair done, so I couldn't respond. But when I got out that chair, I told them, I read them people for filth. I said, your mama would be ashamed of y'all. Y'all old enough to be my mama and daddy, and y'all over here fighting about what your mama want. But it happens so often. And even if you have a will, ladies and gentlemen, one of the things I told my ex-mother-in-law before, after her husband died, my father-in-law died, I said, if you don't want your kids to hate each other, you better get a living trust. Even if you have a will, it's not enough, especially if you have real estate. Having a will only is directions, right? But you got to go through probate. And that's a lengthy process. It is a costly process. Okay. A living trust is what's going to make the process seamless. So you don't have to worry about all the rigmarole. A will can be contested. A living trust can't. When I sell a house that's in a living trust, 30-day process. When you sell a house that just has a will, more than a year. Okay. And it's up to the judge to decide who gets what. So I don't care how old you are. If you have property, if you have anything, you have children, you want to make sure that all those things are in place before you die. It's extremely important.
It is. And I can't even stress that enough. We see it way too often. We still have more to dive into. There's so much more to discuss about John Amos's death and what's going on with his family. But we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back.
Hey, if you're just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. I am Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I am the proud producer of this show. So I hope that every day when you join us, you leave a little smarter than you came, because that's the point. Otherwise, why are you watching? So if you want to receive notices for when we go live, Fly Nubian Money goes live every single day. That's Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you don't know, now you know. All you have to do is text the word Queens. That's Queens. That's Queens to 87948. That's 87948. That's Queens to 87948. Yes. If you want.
And yes, it's always a yes. Make sure that you do that so you don't miss any part of the show. Athena, how did you feel if a family member passed away and you weren't informed and you didn't find out for weeks?
I would feel upset, and I would feel why I didn't find out, and was there a particular reason that I was not notified? I wouldn't feel valued, and I wouldn't feel appreciated by my family if they did that.
I'm with you on that. So, Dr. Alicia, that brings me to another question about that. What do you think the delay says about the family dynamics?
Oh, they don't trust each other. You clearly have decided that you don't want to deal with certain family members. So you've cut for whatever reason. Apparently there was these accusations of abuse, which is very common. Older adults very commonly get abused. Financial abuse is really common among older adults, particularly older female. So yeah, I mean, when there's already some tension going on between the family members and that person passes away and you don't even care enough to, this is your sibling, they're half of you, and you don't care enough to notify that person, that means you want to hurry up and get everything in place and get everything sort of sorted out quickly before you start letting people know. So now it may be a little too late. I have a hunch that maybe this might go to court. Who knows? I mean, we don't know what legal documents were in place. We just don't know about that sort of thing. But there were some trust issues happening between them, and it just turned ugly, and people get their feelings involved. It's just a mess. Like, families just aren't prepared for a lot of this stuff. When I worked as a medical social worker, I just remember, like, loved one would pass away and I'm looking at the family and they're like on their phones Googling funeral homes. Like, they don't know. Like, you have to make decisions really quickly. Like, we have the death certificate. Where do we send the body? What do we do? And like, they're like a deer in headlights, many family members, because they didn't expect this to happen in the way that it does. And you never know when you're going to go. So you got to make things clear ahead of time. And a lot of people just don't, especially Black people don't.
I agree. It seems to be a serious problem in our community. Constance, do you think the secrecy around John Amos's death was motivated by control over his estate, or could there be another reason for the announcement?
So let me just read to you a little bit of what was in an article. It said, over the past year, John Amos was isolated from his family and close friends by his son and Belinda Foster. Despite our repeated attempts to maintain contact, he prevented access to him, controlled and monitored his calls, and severed ties with his daughter, his brother, and his grandchildren. His business manager, his goddaughter, his nieces, his former accountant, and other close family members and loved ones. His son portrayed an image of a close father-son relationship on social media, but the reality was far more complex. Our father suffered from dementia, and Casey often gave John verbal prompts to create a narrative on social media that was not reflective of the truth. We're deeply concerned that our father may have been neglected and isolated during his final days. As we receive photos from concerned neighbors, a medical professional, one photo even prompted an elder abuse investigation, to no avail, they said. It seems Casey has done this before with his own mother, as the statement adds. This situation mirrors Shannon and Casey's mother's passing. Casey also prevented family members from being present and making decisions together. Shannon fought to be by her mother's side and ensured she had agency over her final days.
That just makes me sad, because literally on her post, she recently, one of her most recent posts was that they're worried about why and what caused the death, and that they're asking for people to come and tell them anything that they know about it. And to me, if you have to ask the public, that is a very traumatic thing. I do love this picture, and I was saying earlier, his kids he couldn't deny his kids if he wanted to. He spit them out. Both of them look just like him. But I really hate to hear that families are fighting so much. Athena, when it comes to family feuds over money or power, because the son wanted the control over it, it's more than just the money. Do you think it's easier or harder for these issues to arise after a public figure's death, or do you think that we as regular folk go through it as well?
We as regular folk go through it as well. I just recently last year, I remember my grandmother's passing, and my uncle and my dad were the two siblings that were like paying for everything basically. But my aunts and uncle, the ones that weren't, were trying to dictate everything and basically kind of strong arm them to do whatever they wanted because they protested that because they had the money that they shouldn't just like be able to just make all the decisions. So it caused a lot of contention there. Some statistics about family disputes as it involves will, trust, and estates is that 44% of estate disputes involve siblings. In 51% of cases, disputes were over land and property, and 32% were about money. 30% of the people claim that family members stopped talking to each other as a result of estate disputes. So this is something that is quite common. As it pertains to Black America, 29% of Black Americans have a will or estate planning document, which is an increase of 12% from 2020.
Wow.
So we are recognizing as a community that we need to do something as far as getting our estate together, especially in from previous years. But it seems to me that there's always going to be, even if there's a document and things in place, people's emotions, people's feelings are going to be involved. I remember when my dad told us about the trust and estate and all of that. And there's a statistic saying that a lot of the wealth passed on is lost because a lot of families tend to pass most of their wealth, unfortunately, to their sons, even if they have daughters. And then the sons usually get divorced and the wife takes most of the money. So do with that what you will, right? Do with that what you will. But it's interesting how these things play out.
Yeah, it really is.
Can I add to that?
Said that? Yes, please.
When she mentioned that only 29% have wills, wills is not enough. As I just mentioned, a will is not enough. And so when you did that, I just Googled what percentage of Black people actually have living trusts. And 70% of Black people do not have living trusts. I did a video a while ago and it kind of went viral on a lot of different pages, but it was talking about how when I was, 12 years ago, I moved into an affluent neighborhood. And when I went to go look to see who lived there, I couldn't figure it out because everybody had trust. So you don't know who's who because the trust is it gives you a little bit of privacy. Right. And so everybody in that neighborhood were mostly Black. We were white. We were the only Black people. We were youngest and the blackest. Then I moved to the East Coast in an affluent area. Probably even wealthier people, but they're all Black. And guess what? Nobody over here has a living trust. So it's absolutely opposite. So we're not seeing asset protection in the way we should, that we need to. 80% of real estate, 80% of wealth in this country is generated through real estate. 90% is passed intergenerationally. We're losing our wealth. Black people are not maintaining our wealth. The time that it takes to get the wealth, we're actually losing it in the next generation because we don't have proper estate planning set up to be able to pass the wealth. First of all, we didn't get it at first. Now we're getting it and we're not passing it. So this is extremely important. This is a lesson for all of us, especially Black people, that wills are good. We're taught to get wills, but we got to get living trusts.
Constance, I have a question for you. As we're talking about estate planning and leaving stuff for future heirs and things, we see a lot of celebrities, athletes, or people in our community in general have like a gang of kids, like 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. How much generational wealth are you leaving per kid if you just have all these kids? Do you recommend doing that, or should you think about how many children you're going to have to set them up?
Well, you think about John Singleton, when he set up his trust, it was over 20 years ago, he only had one child. When he died, he had 7. So now they're fighting over all of his money because he didn't equally distribute it. And so I would say, if I had 7 kids, 10 kids or whatever, and that's the other thing too. You got to update these things as you go along. You get it 20 years ago, you got to do it, review it every 3 years, 5 years, because you might acquire more property. So you might have this property in there, but you don't have that property in there. If something happens, that one goes to probate, this one's protected. So you got to review it every few years to make sure, or as you're adding people in your life, or as you're adding property, add them to your living trust. But definitely, my trust is set up to where my kids get, I got 4 of them suckers, and each of them get everything. It's 25% to each of them.
And the main thing about that is you must always update. You must update. We're going to continue this conversation, but I wanted to bring up this chart before we go to break. In the U.S., approximately 70% of wealthy families lose their wealth by the second generation. And 50% of family businesses fail to make it to the second generation. And 90% does not make it to the third generation. These numbers, me no lucky on the penny stack. We've got to change these around and understand that this is an important thing for us to be able to pass this down to our children and our families. But we're going to continue the conversation right after this.
You want to grow your money and not blow your money, as Constance says, check us out at flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, programs, videos, resources. In 2024, there's no reason to be broke when there's information all around us. So get your money right. flynubianmoney.com.
Get on over there because we talking money. And I showed you stats before we went to that commercial, and those numbers don't look good. Dr. Alicia, I want to ask you, in cases like this, where there's a power struggle between the siblings, how should family members communicate and set boundaries to avoid escalating conflicts?
I think I answered that before. Is when listen, I think what Constance was talking about is so wonderful, to have a trust, right? And a trust is really good for after when you pass. But as a hospice social worker, I think it's so important to have an advance directive. So these are planning for when you die, right? Because I just learned just a few minutes ago that John Amos had cognitive decline. So he had some stages of dementia, right? So he wasn't able to make decisions. And so beforehand, you need to set aside and have conversations with these people about, I want you to be my power of attorney for healthcare. Pick another person, another child, another person who's close to you to be your power of attorney for finances. I want this person. Put money aside, because you got to pay for somebody to wipe your butt. I mean, paying for end of life palliative care is extremely expensive, and you'd be surprised how long people live with dementia. And they need it's a lot of money. You have nurses and staff and social worker like me, you have to pay for to come and give these services. And a lot of it is not covered under your insurance. So you have to look at Medicare and Medicaid. It's a lot of very complex information that all of us need to know. When I teach this class, lifespan development, I teach it to undergraduate students. So most of the students are like 20, 30. Sometimes you get older students. And our final assignment in this class, because we start from conception all the way up to end of life, I say your final assignment is create an advance directive and turn it in and communicate it with your family and write an essay on how that experience was for you. Because I feel so strongly working in this field as a social worker in Chicago and in Illinois that so many people don't make their wishes clear. And then when you're incompetent or when you pass away, people are like scrambling, like, what did he want? I think he wanted this. I think he wanted this. I think this. And then people are clashing. So again, to think about your legacy is thinking about now, no matter how old you are, getting the plan in place. And even if you can't afford a trust, like a trust can take, a lot of effort. There are things that you can do where you can not have to have a trust. It all depends on your financial situation, how much property you have. A lot of people can give things away before they die, and they just know, I'm just going to be in this one little place and I'm going to give stuff away before. So you just have to really plan and meet with a professional that can come up with something that meets your needs and makes your wishes clear.
I need to add to that. Yeah, I got to add to that because let me put you up on some game, y'all. And what she said is so right about those advanced directives. Guess what? That can be included inside your living trust. So if you go to 299trust.com, it costs $299 for them to do your living trust. And it also has an advanced directive instructions on there. So like when I was doing my mama's, I was doing hers, and she was like, whoa, do DNR. No. Don't do the DNR for me. I want to be living. You're going to have to pull the plug at least 6 months before don't do no DNR for me. So they cover all of those things inside 299trust.com. So you could actually have that done. The second thing, though, is because trust can be costly, even if you don't have that. Let me tell you something. What AI just came out with and what Athena is about to be teaching y'all at ABNC about the power of AI, ChatGPT can write your living trust in a matter of 30 seconds. I just did it. 30 seconds. Take the information from another trust and you tell ChatGPT what you want it to do, and it will do the entire document for you in 30 seconds for free. Get that bad boy notarized, get it recorded. Now it's official. It's a legally binding document. So at this point, Black people, there's no excuse for you not to have it, because before trusts were out of reach, $2,000, $2,500, $5,000. I've seen people pay that type of money for it, but you can get it for a nominal, for practically nothing. Now, I don't recommend y'all going to ChatGPT right now if you guys don't have any knowledge. Go to 299trust.com. They have ironclad trusts. I got them from my parents now.
Thank you so much, Constance, for sharing that. Another tip I would say is a lot of you guys work at corporations and companies that have EAP programs that offer legal services as well. I know the last company I worked for, they had a legal service that would do will and trust for you, covered under the company plan. So also check your employer benefits and see if they offer legal services already included as part of your benefit package to help with your wills and trust.
And you just answered that before I even asked the question. See, we're all on one accord today. We want to make sure that you protect your family's generational wealth and their peace of mind. Because listen, as we talk about money and getting all this paperwork and stuff together, but you have to understand that people are also grieving when you are gone. So that makes it even harder for your family to deal with the paperwork and the things that go around on top of what they're dealing with grieving. So please make sure that you take care of your family and give peace of mind. I'd rather have people fight while I'm living than to fight when I'm gone, because I'm gone and I'm enjoying wherever I am, and I'm not going to be worried about it on the other side. But I don't want my family to be worried about it either. So I'm going to ask you, Constance, how do you think financial strain or control over an estate has a broader impact on the family dynamics? And we're not just talking about the siblings, but we're talking about grandchildren and maybe sometimes sisters and other siblings. What kind of impact is this and financial strain over this?
It's huge. Because the breakdown, especially when you're talking about grandchildren and the rest of the family, if there's a breakdown at the top, of course, it's going to affect everybody else. And if you don't have your financial house in order, it affects everybody. Think about what I said. If you don't have this in order, your kids are going to hate each other. The thing about it is even if you have a will, so say you have a will, they go to reading of the will, they go to probate, your cousin from Alabama could say, hey, Unc them said I'm entitled to this property, even though it will prove that they're not. That's going to add on to the time. That's going to add on to the costs. So it affects so many different dynamics. There's so many things that could happen if you're not properly set up. So to avoid, y'all, Black people, this is like, I need you guys to really understand this. To avoid this, Black people, please go to 299trust.com or whatever. And people said on my video, they were like, you just must be getting paid. I am not getting paid from them people. I'm trying to get y'all an affordable solution so that you can get your house in order. So go to 299trust.com. Somebody said, if you can afford a house, you can afford a trust.
Yes, you can. And if you can afford Starbucks every day, you can afford a trust. Let's even get it down to everyday things. A cup of coffee in America is average $4 to $7, depending on what you like. Add that up at the end of the month, and you could have paid for what you needed to do to protect your family. Dr. Alicia, in terms of money and relationships, do you think people should openly talk about their financial situation and wishes with their family beforehand, other than just putting it on paper? Because putting it on paper and putting it away and not discussing it with them, is that the same?
Man, Black people don't like to talk about what happens. They don't like to talk about their money openly. Definitely don't like to talk about end of life, because it's like, if I keep talking about it, I'm gonna speed up the process. And even if there is a plan, which often there isn't one, that plan is not articulated to anybody. You got to ask permission. I mean, you need to have these conversations. We don't do enough of this. I think I wanted to make a comment about the family business, because that was a heck of a stat right there before we went to commercial last time. That stat about family business and not being able to pass down that family business is something that's always on the top of my mind. And my husband and I, we talk about this a lot. And I'm telling you, if you're an entrepreneur, a lot of your money goes right back into the business. And I was talking to the boys. I was like, hey, you're not putting enough money in retirement. We're going to be living off of my retirement. At a certain point in your business, that toward the end, I mean, you want to get it going. So you need to reinvest in the business. You're excited about these new incentives. But at a certain point, I'm just like, we can't rely on you and YouTube videos forever. Let's plan. Let's start putting some money away for retirement. I got great retirement, so we could live off of my money. It doesn't matter. But I just feel like I get a little concerned. So for entrepreneurs, you're at a unique position, because it's not like you have a 401k that's built into your business. You really do need to think about, at a certain point, putting some more money toward the end there after you're done building up your business, which takes a lot of investment to build up a business. But you can start taking some of that money and setting it aside and start investing, because initially you're not even giving yourself a salary. When you start a business, you're just like reinvesting, like I ain't made no money, and then you move into this phase where you start paying yourself. But eventually you need to start thinking about retirement and end of life things where you can start putting money away. So there's different phases in your business that I think all of the entrepreneurs, because I feel like there's a lot of entrepreneurs here, need to start thinking about how long can you continue? And it's the type of business you have. Like, I have clients, right? So eventually, hopefully somebody will come along and I can sell my clientele, so it depends on if you have products or if you're a service entrepreneurship. So these are things you need to also start thinking about if we expand it to that area. Yeah.
Right. Totally agree. We're going to keep this conversation going, because this is something we definitely need to tackle, but we'll be right back.
Fly Nubian Money is now on Spotify. Yes, yes, yes. We are on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, you can listen to us. All you have to do is search Fly Nubian Money and we will appear. All of our episodes. Make sure that you leave a 5-star rating and review, so other people that come along and are looking for a good show to watch, they'll follow us too. If you are interested in being on Fly Nubian Money, sorry, I don't have any spaces. I'm just playing. If you are interested in being a queen or a king on Fly Nubian Money for the day, please reach out to me. I'm at info@realvirtual.net. That's info@realvirtual.net. Also, if you need help with your business, go ahead and send me an email for that too. Okay. I've said enough. Now back to the show.
We've given you assignments and we are depending on you to pick them up and complete the task. Athena, the statements from John Amos's family also mentioned that former accountants, business managers, and other professionals were involved. How do you think professionals in someone's life like these people can either help or complicate family dynamics when there's a lot of money involved?
Good question. A lot of when you are an entertainer, celebrity, or even an average person, you're going to have accountants, lawyers, other people outside of the family handling your different affairs. When it comes to situations in death, though, you have client, privilege and confidentiality. So you really can only discuss things with people who are designated as someone who is in charge of that person's care. So it can be quite complicated when you have to communicate things, when you have to make sure that this is an actual family member I can actually talk to about these things. Now, in the scenario of John Amos, it probably would be his brother that we could, talk to about things. But it's quite common for, especially, I know the sister had issues to reach out to professionals surrounding him for information, but she might have had some issues with that. Also, professionals like accountants, sometimes we have to, even though you died, you have to do, your death tax, your estate tax, and all of those things. So then we're tasked with trying to figure out who is the point of contact now to handle those last minute affairs. And that's why, like Constance said, a trust and having all those things set up is going to be so important. And also, I want to piggyback off of what Dr. Alicia said about self-employed individuals and entrepreneurs setting themselves up for retirement. Even if you have your own business, you can create your own retirement plan through your business, such as a SEP plan, which is a simplified employee pension, which allows you to contribute as much as 25% of your net earnings from self-employment, or a savings incentive match plan for employees through your own business. So that is something that, as people are going through entrepreneurship journey, when you do get to the point where you can actually put aside things to think about putting money away in those ways.
Can I add to that too? When you talk about seniors and abuse, and there is a level of isolation that we do see a lot. That even happened with Frankie Beverly. Most people don't know. And about 10 months ago, his band had tried to do something different. I know a few members of the band. Because recently, as he had gotten older, whoever was in charge of his affairs isolated him from everybody else. So they wouldn't allow them to talk to him. The only time they talked to him was when they were on stage. Now, some of them were original members of Maze. Some of them have been there 22, 25 years. And now all of a sudden they can't talk to him. And now all of a sudden, there's that sense of isolation because now they're not in their right mind. I even seen some interviews where they just on some podcasts just last year, they had other people that was on there with him. He wasn't saying a word. He was almost damn near comatose, but they were talking for him. So we do see that very often when people get into those situations where there's some vulnerability, people will come in and swoop in and they will isolate that person to control their money. Very common.
I've actually seen it firsthand with many families, and especially in real estate, and then afterwards having different family members coming to me each at a time saying different things. I am the neutral person. I am the neutral person in that situation, but you hear this every day. This is more common than what we know. But I want to pull up a couple of our graphics because we have a few comments that I want to address. On Hollywood Unlocked, it says, woman goes viral over wild Facebook posts about actor John Amos. And let's look at some of these comments that were put up. And then at first it kind of freaked me out, but then I'm going to tell you my ideas of what I saw. So she put rest in peace. And then she was saying that she was there. And then there we go. Rest in peace to legendary John Amos. Remember, I put this blank, you but so good, you blah, 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 barely moved. I had to censor myself on that one, Lord Jesus. Okay, next comment. My question is, why are you saying this after he died and not while he was alive? Ever since Facebook started paying for engagement, it's wild on these comments. I have to agree with that, y'all. Like, everybody's talking about Diddy and all that stuff just for clout, and so now they're attacking a lot of the things with John and putting things up. But the last comment, this one says, lies. I was there. Mr. John Amos took photos with a lot of his fans that day on the beach, even though he wasn't in the best of health. I was a server for 1 month on that same location. Stop spreading lies on the man's name and let him rest in peace. Have some self-esteem and respect, lady. I have to agree with that. I think there is a level of look at me, look at me, when after people pass, and I think that to me that was completely disrespectful to the family. And the fact that he was probably just taking pictures with everybody, just being just as happy as he want to be taking pictures with everybody, for her to come out with that was completely disrespectful. Ladies, I'm going to get all up in your business now and ask you a question, and I'm going to answer it too. Athena, have you had something like this directly affect you and your family, and how did you overcome it?
My grandmother and my uncle died within months of each other. And I remember it was causing a lot of strife between my dad and his siblings. And I think I discussed this a little bit earlier on the show. I kind of stayed out of it. So that's how I handled it. But it was very distraught to see my dad and my uncle at the time be very upset of not having a voice in the arrangements, especially for my grandmother's funeral, especially since, they were kind of paying for everything. And there were some nasty comments that were made from my aunt and her children as well, which was astonishing because, my father has greatly contributed to the financial state of not only them, but my grandmother. So it was quite heartbreaking. How we dealt with it, though, was I told my parents, even though they had a trust, they went to an expensive lawyer to get theirs set up. We didn't know about $2.99 trust at that time, Constance. But I told them, I was like, let this be an example of what could happen. And I said, exactly everything that you want to happen on that day, you write it down. Because, you write it down what you want us to do. Also, my dad shared with me a document that I still have that I ended up having to give my cousin a few months later because my uncle passed away, of what to do in the event of death during the day by day, like what is the actual process to go through when someone dies, when you're, talking to the police, talking to the coroner, everything else. And I felt like that was very helpful because now there's a set plan in place for when these situations do arise. So it just helped us with planning.
Exactly. But did that experience make you change your plans to have them solid for yourself?
Yes, because then it made me realize the importance of, because at that time I was like, okay, I do have a house, I do have things, but I don't have children. I don't have, I'm just going to leave everything to my dad at this point. But it did make me realize that, no, I should have some things in place. And my parents actually gave me a list of documents that I had to, power attorney, healthcare surrogate, all of that, get done.
See, that's a perfect example of living it and then learning from it and doing what you need to do. Constance, is there something that you have a direct effect within your own family, and how did you overcome it?
Hell yeah. So first I want to say, thankfully, all my parents are still living, my siblings and all that. And I made sure that they all have living trusts. So everybody in my family, we know what to do. Even my dad, like 78 years old, they try to talk to him about end of life. He'd be like, what? I'm like, Daddy, you're 78. Like, we got to talk about this stuff. But I did his trust for him. Unfortunately, so when my father-in-law passed away, I had the conversation. You need to have a trust. One thing would happen. So her mental capacity was also deteriorating. She was suffering from dementia as well. And I would tell my ex, you better go over there, watch that money, because we don't know. She got a little bit of money from Dad's his insurance. Well, guess what? A lot of money came up missing. So what I said is, and I never inserted myself in their business, but I said, all right, I'm going to take over her finances. I'm taking over her finances because I refuse to let her lose this house. So I took over her finances until the day she died. Mm-hmm. I also had her living trust done, paid for myself, paid the little $2.99 myself, sent it over to them. And I had in there that the person who stole this money, who took this money, everything was going to be divided, but less this amount of money goes to them. She would not let her mother sign it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, she was in control of what was going on with her mother. So when she was dying, by this time we were separated, but they're like, hey, you got the copy of that trust. Now we want to get it signed because we know that we need to get this thing signed. So I printed it out. I had it on my desk for months. He just never came to get it, and they never got it done. And now a whole lot of shit is going on, but they have no living trust. And the day she died, because I was paying her bills, I turned over her bank account to them and I washed my hands of it. But
But you did your part.
I did my
You
part, and we weren't even together at that point, but I was still taking care of her business. I
That's
wanted
right.
to honor her while she was living. After she died, I was like, it's up to y'all now.
You done your part. They didn't do their part. So everybody has a role in this. Dr. Alicia, is there an instance where you feel comfortable about talking about if you have this?
Let me tell you, every time somebody died, I'd be like, count down to the fall down. Who's going to be fighting with who? Anybody got bets? Like, it happened. And it's so funny. It's like I have experienced the gamut where someone passes and then we all are so close, hugging and kissing and all of that. And then someone else passes and then nobody talks to each other. And then another person passes. And then we're like, oh, we shouldn't let that get in the way. And then we hugging and kissing again. It just, over the years, the pendulum has swung back and forth. And I think here's the hard part. Like, we're all busy living our lives that are very busy. And there's always like one or two people who is like, okay, I'll take on Big Mama. I'll take care of Big Mama. And because they put more time and effort into the care, they feel like they are entitled to everything because they're like, you was in another state or didn't care or didn't come and care for like everybody else, so I deserve more. It doesn't work that way. Like, you see these instances all the time and like the feelings get all caught up because it's usually the person, sometimes it's the person with the mental health issue that can't keep a job, that's like floundering around, and we're like, let's put Johnny on it or Sarah over there to take care of her. And then you start seeing some really crazy things. You start noticing crazy things happening. So it just, this is just what happens. And my mom going through all of this, she has learned. She has everything in a trust. She has given, hand delivered everything in her trust to me and my brothers, just two of us, 50-50 down the middle. Both of us, are very clear. So when my mom passes, she's in her 80s. So hopefully it will never happen anytime soon. Me and my brother can hug and kiss. Her burial's paid for. Everything's paid for. So we could just like, easy going. And then we can hold hands into the sunset. Hopefully. I'll keep y'all posted.
Right. Well, Dr. Vibe loves your countdown to the fall down. So right, Dr. Alicia. I want to, like, before I answer this question, because this kind of ties into this question for me. Joe Corley says, I lost both my parents before my 17th birthday. Neither of them were prepared. This conversation is deeply important and needs to be magnified. Yes, it does. And this is why I ask each and every one of us to share our story with you so you can see we just everyday folk out here trying to do what we need to do, and we care about our families. I lost my parents when I was in my 20s. I lost my mother when I was 21 years old. I lost my dad when I was 28. And it was easy with my mother because there were other people in place to take care of the arrangements, and I was able to do what I needed to do with that. I just took care of the services and how it was supposed to be run the way she wanted it to be done. But when my father passed, I was the one who handled everything of it. Dad didn't leave any paperwork. He didn't have anything to give. He just had a few things. And before I could even get the words out that he had passed, everybody was claiming they wanted something. And so the traumatic thing was Dad didn't have life insurance or anything. So my first priority was to figure out, oh my God, how am I even going to get him buried? So here I am. I've lost my father. My family is saying what they want before they even figure out, even when I'm telling them we all have to come together. We all have to pay this bill. We all have to do. And there was all sort of just chaos. And that's when I knew. I was like, never, I would never do this. I have one son, but I would never do this to my family. This needs to be in order. And I have to say, as horrible as it sounds, it's not horrible. I'm just glad I don't have to go through that again, that both of my parents are gone and they're settled. But it showed me the dramatic thing. One, okay, we got through it. Everybody was on one accord. to, oh my God, help me, Jesus, I don't know what to do. And I've neither, with the grief on top of that, it makes it that much worse. So I asked our queens to share this so that we can share an important thing with you. After this show, you need to immediately go and take the advice that we are giving you so that you can protect your family and have peace of mind for yourself. Nobody likes to talk about death. We all would like to think going to live forever. What's that show? Going to live forever. No, we are not here forever. So make sure that you take care of your family. And with that being said, this hour is pretty much almost gone already. Can you believe it? But before we go, you know you love us because you watch us every day. And we love having you. But entrepreneurs, are you looking to get your business noticed? Advertise with us on Fly Nubian Money. We go live 5 days a week, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we go live on a lot of pages. So we have a distribution of over 1 million subscribers. So our audience is engaged, just like you, intelligent, just like you, and ready to connect with new business owners like you. So this is your chance to reach a lot of people and for them to get to know your business. So don't miss out on this. Just if you're interested in getting some information about ad rates, email us at info@realvirtual.net. That's info@RELVIRTUAL.net. And then put this in the subject line, Fly Nubian Money ad, so that we know exactly what you're looking for and we can definitely help grow your business. Ladies, I think we have had a wonderful conversation today. I think we have had some wonderful comments today. This is bigger than John Amos. I think we also did him justice by honoring him today. But I would like to hear your final thoughts on this and where we can find you. So let me start with you, Athena.
Listen, we shared a lot of gems today about what to do in the case of death, to have your documents together as far as will, trust, retirement plans, all of that, right? Put yourself first, learn from this. Don't just sit on the advice, be proactive, check your employer plans to see if they offer legal services that's a part of your benefit package that will set you up for free, or go to 299 Trust, like Constance said, and get your trust together. My name is Athena. I'm a CPA and founder of We Wealth Women. You can find all things about me at wewealthwomen.com. If you're an entrepreneur or a woman, I do have an AI business launch class and a Goddess Guide to Money course available on my website at wewealthwomen.com. Follow me at We Wealth Women on all social media platforms, and you can listen to me through your speaker on the We Wealth podcast on Apple, Spotify, and iHeart.
She busy. She's busy doing all the things. Make sure that you go and follow Athena. She has some great resources for you. And what about you, Constance? What are your final thoughts and where can we find you?
Listen, everybody, Black people, the thing that's known in our community is about wills. Everybody know about wills. A will is only directions. I mean, it'll hold up in court, but you got to go through probate. You got to go through the process. It's time consuming. It is costly. So a will can be a document like Aretha Franklin, that a piece of paper that was scribbled and that was put in between her couch that they found. And that is something that'll hold up, but you still got to go through probate. Okay. A trust is a legally binding document. So if you own a property, if you have something, if you don't want your kids to be fighting over your things, if you don't want them to hate each other, go out and get that living trust. And somebody said, and so insurance is not enough. No, include insurance on there so that all your properties are paid off, so that when you are passing your wealth to your children, you are passing it free and clear. And now they have true wealth. Not only do that, teach them about how to maintain, sustain, and pass it. Where can you find me? Everywhere. I am Constance Carter.
Yes, she is. She's Constance Carter. She got a lot of great stuff for you too. Dr. Alicia, what are your final thoughts and where can we find you?
I got two final thoughts. Number one, rest in peace, John Amos. His family, what I would say to them right now is, even though he's already been cremated and it's been a lot of time that it's gone by since he's passed, I encourage you to still have a memorial for him. Do it for yourself and for your loved ones, because that was a family member of yours. He was influential in a lot of the roles that he played on television. So I think for your own grief, create and think about having your own memorial for him. Okay. And this goes for everybody where it's complicated and there's a split in the family. Nothing's stopping you from honoring your loved ones in the way that you see fit. That's the first thing. Second thing, out of all of the Fly Nubian Money videos that we've done, I think this is the most important one. I think y'all should hit the like and share this with everybody, every single body you know, because you think it's not going to happen and you never know. You never know when you walk outside the door. I don't even want to go into stories because I'm a hospice social worker and a medical social worker. I have seen a lot of things in this head of mine. And so I just think that this is probably just a wonderful show. And I think we should do more shows about end of life issues. I know it's kind of grim, but it's something that we as Black people do not do. It's other people, other groups do this. They take this stuff seriously, and it's time for us to take it seriously as well. Oh, if you want to reach me, coachingwithdralicia.com. Think about your legacy, what you're giving to your family. So contact me there at my website and Instagram at Coaching with Dr. Alicia.
Thank you very much. And I think you are so very right, Dr. Alicia. Here's my final thoughts. A lot of people know that I've lost two sisters to a drunk driver, January 15, 2023. My sisters were younger than I am. They were in their 40s. So we're not just talking about end of life for elderly. No matter what age you are, no matter if you have children, no matter if you have a house, you've got somebody who cares for you. And you need to care enough for them to make sure that they know what to do when you decide to go on to the next side. So don't take this lightly. This is something very serious. And we want to make sure that you understand just how important it is. And this show is very important. So I'm going to ditto what Dr. Alicia said by making sure that you share this out. But here's my another homework assignment. Go and do what we said. We gave you great resources, and you also can go to our website and get those resources. So I also have a 6-part series on YouTube that discusses all of this, and you can find that here at bit.ly/Laura Key Info. It talks about estate planning. It talks about the probate process. It talks about wills and trusts, guardianship, because we didn't even talk about kids, right? What happens to you if you have children, and then maintaining your documents. So you can go there and get all of that free. All right, ladies, this was such a wonderful show. But in closing, I want to say that John Amos's story, while it's very heartbreaking, is not unique when it comes to family dynamics and money. It's a reminder that wealth can be a source of division if not handled with care, transparency, and love. Let's all take a moment to think about how we manage our own financial legacies and ensure that we are building up, not tearing down, the relationships that matter the most. Thank you to my incredible queens for joining me today and giving their personal insights. And until tomorrow at 1 p.m., let's keep mastering your mindset and maximizing your money. We will see you tomorrow. Have a blessed day. Go do your homework. Peace.